So this is a image of my character at like level 2 taking somewhere in the ballpark of around 90 points of damage. It is a ridiculous story. It is one of my earlier games on Roll20, and this is the only screenshot I have of it. I took it because it was just that ridiculous. As you can tell, this screenshot's a fair few years old. I've told this story a number of times, and I thought I might as well record it in video format. So, this is the story of the game that lasted about 2 hours and resulted in my character just utterly getting vaporized because she tried to rob a Wendy's. So, what happened? So, there was this fella, his name was Viking, and he said he was recruiting people for a D&D game. He said it's going to be an evil D&D game, so we need to bring our most evil of evil characters. And obviously, by evil, he of course meant cartoon evil. This was not going to be like super grim, dark, horrible. This was going to be like Bowser and like poisoning the town's water supply. That's that's what he told me anyway. So I decided, okay, he wants cartoon villainy. Who is more cartoony than Trixie, of course? So I pull out Trixie, and I, of course, give her the most ridiculous of evil titles. I go full inspiration. This is a character who wants nothing more to do than to, like, twirl their metaphorical mustache. And we had two other players. You can see them down in the corner there. These two players were think they both played either, yeah, they were both either blackguards or they were like fighters, but they were like the big, muscly type of guys. And which is funny because I was playing like a femme fatale type of character. And this DM, he had a lot of very interesting ideas. Like, for one thing, like the game was fantasy, but he had like a weird modern flavor to it, and like all of the names of the places he told us about, they were all taken straight out of like fan fictions and like existing fantasy stories. Like the town all of this took place in was called Stormwind, funny enough, but he swore it was all completely original, even though it was all like also inspired by the modern world. It was weird. Anywho, game starts, and we're all my character is standing next to these two characters. And obviously, my immediate force of reaction is I'm gonna try and befriend these other player characters because obviously they're other players. Let's try to make friends with them. My character walks over to them, starts talking. We get a good dialogue going. Blah 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 blah. Do you want to go get something to eat? Sure. Okay, let's go get something to eat. Three of us head down to the local inn, which was apparently a Wendy's. Like again, I did not understand this guy's setting, but like it was like a mix of like modern and like fantasy. But we go there and we just decide to just completely stink up the place. We are just playing the worst customers ever. We immediately started. My character basically just goes full Karen. There's a reference that won't age well, but she just starts insulting everyone. She starts being the rudest bitch in the entire building. She sends her order back like 5 times. She throws soda in people's faces. She orders things that aren't on the menu, and we bitch at people when it's not on the menu. Like, just the worst, like, comedically evil customer. Because, again, that's what I was under the impression this game was like, comedic evil. And he also told us it was a sandbox game. So, my understanding was we were just supposed to be dicking around. And so that's what we had been doing up until this point, dicking around. But Viking, he was kind of confused. Like, I don't think he completely understood the concept of a sandbox game because he was always constantly like, okay, you guys had your fun. Now do you guys want to go get a quest or whatever? I'm like, you told us we're evil, right? And you told us we're supposed to be dicking around. Yeah, well, do you guys want to join like the Fighters Guild? No, we want to be mean at the Wendy's. Well, yeah, I don't think he completely understood what he got himself into, so uh, it was weird. So essentially, we're just making our own fun at this point, and one of the other players suggests that just to completely ruin the trifecta, we're going to Because again, we're supposed to be making up our own goals, making up our own rules. We said, okay, we're gonna stake out this burger joint after the restaurant. We're gonna break into it and we're gonna steal some money because that's an evil thing to do, and we are being evil people. So that's what we do. We stake out the restaurant. Uh, Random chef comes out at like 12 o'clock at night. We beat the crap out of him for making terrible, terrible burgers. Shame on you. And we're like, okay, we're going to go inside there and we're going to steal some potatoes. Because obviously the door is right open. We just beat this guy up. We got all the keys to the restaurant. Let's rob the place. And however, we're beating up this restaurant, and he's like, "Oh no, no, I'm not the one responsible for the terrible burgers. You want my cousin who works at this location down by the docks." And it was painfully obvious to me that he was trying to like desperately, desperately try to set us up for some random quest over there. But obviously, I was having none of that because I was having fun, robbing this restaurant. Because well, maybe looking back on it, I probably should not have what's it called, gone full. Again, looking back on it, it was painfully obvious he was trying to set up some up with some sort of pre-written quest idea he already had. But honestly, I would have preferred he actually say us straight up, "Hey, this is going to be a linear campaign. You guys are supposed to go to X, Y, Z," and not randomly rob those Wendy's. And you may wonder why I'm saying that if everything up until this point had worked furiously as a open-ended campaign. Well, that's where this screenshot comes in. That is where the DM decided to clamp down hard on us actually having any sort of freedom. So Wendy or Trixie walks into the burger joint and immediately trips an alarm. No check allowed, no save allowed, just immediately there's a blaring alarm. And so I go like, rest of the party cover me. I'm gonna search this entire place for some sort of valuable. I spent an entire round searching the Wendy's. Nothing. Spent a second round entirely searching the Wendy's. Nothing. At this point, these guys roll up, and this is where his screenshot comes in, which is he told us all to roll initiative, and we're like first level characters. And we got pretty good, don't get me wrong. Like, my character had like +7 to hit. Like, he was really generous with the high strength scores for everybody. But Viking rolled somewhere in the realm of and also Viking got like a 3 because all these characters had like -5 to initiative. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And so obviously our character, they start covering me, and so Viken, XZ's character, he walks over to one of the golems, slashes at it with his like massive scythe, does like 13 damage at like +20, and rolls a 20 to hit, which is like quite a fair bit, especially given a first level character. Nope, you miss. Nope, you miss. Nope, you miss. And this entire time, of course, that they're fighting these, which I would later learn to be adamantium golems, like CR10 or CR20 adamantium golems, like like half dozen of these darn things that he had politely named the Popo, because obviously we were like seasoned criminals who deserved like demigods coming after us. After like 3 full rounds of Trixie searching this goddamn restaurant, uh he finally says, "Okay, fine. You find a single bag of potatoes worth 1 copper." And I'm like, "Yes, okay. I have stolen a bag of potatoes. It is worth 1 copper. I have successfully committed theft. I am happy." However, at this point, the GM rolls these numbers down here, which is basically the golems full attacking everyone. And as you can see, our max HP at the time was like 10. And the lowest damage roll they rolled was like 21. So they are like pummeling everybody into like ash, essentially. They are doing triple, quadruple our hit points in like punch, punch, punch. He is like completely destroying all the characters outside. Like, it is no contest. And obviously, everyone's kind of annoyed at all of their characters immediately dying to, again, invincible adamantium golems that they had no way of fighting or preventing from showing up. And then the DM goes, "Oh no, it's non-lethal damage, so it's okay. Like, you take 30 points of damage at level 1, but it's non-lethal damage, so you're fine." Anyway, Trixie comes out of the building holding her single sack of potatoes. She gets flanked by like five friggin' golems, and she basically flips the finger to one of them, and they all full attack her. And I took somewhere in the realm of 80 to 90 points of quote non-lethal damage at once, which is just obviously completely fair and balanced, obviously. However, that's when I remembered a very a fancy rule that I've used back in the day. Now, I'm not sure if this is still true for Pathfinder, but it was true back in the day when I was learning D&D, which is if you take enough non-lethal damage, and we're talking like triple your hit points in non-lethal damage or somewhere in that realm, that non-lethal damage slowly is like turned to lethal damage. Like I think it's like if you take your entire hit like double your hit point pool in non-lethal damage, it eventually becomes lethal damage. Like you can eventually kill someone by punching them hard enough. And considering we were taking like 40 damage unattack from these friggin' golems, I basically announced that yeah, hey, I'm dead, and everyone here is also dead, and just fucking reminded me of that scene. I don't remember in what movie where he's just like, this is one character flying off while just flipping the bird to like the characters below them being like, fuck you, I'm out of here. And obviously the DM threw a fit, and the players threw a fit, and I was not wanting to stick around for that, so I took this screenshot and I left. And it makes me laugh every single time I pull it out. But yeah, that's the story of that time I tried to play an evil character and got hit with like 80 points of non-lethal damage, so much so that my character died for the horrible, horrible crime of stealing a 1 copper sack of potatoes from a Wendy's.